Hello, everyone. Today I am joined by a special guest that made his challenge debut on season 19, Fresh Me Too, and now he can officially use the label as a challenge all-star. Welcome in, Brandon. Thank you for joining me today. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I want to start things off. I found a Reddit AMA you did back in 2017. You talked about how Real World was your jam back in the day. How did you get into watching Real World, and what were some of your favorite seasons?
Well, I'll have to out my mom on this one. So she used to watch it a lot when it first came out. And, when she's watching something, nobody else is watching anything. So kind of got into it. But it's actually, really interesting. And I probably shouldn't have been watching it at that age. But it was pretty cool. So that's how I kind of got into it. Then as I got older, I'm keeping up with the show, and people are like, "Why do you watch that?" Like, I kind of got made fun of at school because I'm, football, basketball, this, and that, and I'm like over here gossiping about Real World at the cafeteria table. But then I put some of my boys onto it, and it was like, okay, I could see you on that, man. So that became like the ongoing thing. I could see you on it, and I didn't, because at the time you had to send in a tape. I was like, I don't want to go through all that trouble just to be told no. So I was like, no, I'm not doing it. Then luckily, by the time I'm 25. They were having an open casting call in Little Rock, of all places. Got up the nuts to go down there to an open casting call. And I made it to the final part of being cast. So, it's like this long process. It takes, a few months to get it all done, because after you make it through the first round, they fly you somewhere else. You have another interview with just you and a producer. And it gets a little bit more intimate with each step. And so if you make it to the final, they fly you out to LA, like you're at the studio, you're being in Murray, it's like, man, you see all these pictures, and you get to meet all the, the big execs and everything. So you go do that, and then they send you right back. Like, then you fly in the night before, you wake up the next day, you do your interview, they put you with a PA in an Uber or whatever, take you right back to the airport. But on the way back to the airport, the PA, he was like, "Yo, you got this, man. Like, you killed it, blah, blah, blah." So I get back home thinking, I got this in the bag. Wrong. I was really wrong about that. They called back at the end of December and was like, "Hey," I see the number pop up on the phone, so I'm really excited. And then they're like, "Yeah, we really like you, but we're moving in a different direction on the season."
That's wild to go months and then to completely just feel like the rug was pulled out from under you. But luckily you had this backup of Fresh Me Too that they wanted to put you on. Now you get thrown directly onto the challenge. Do you feel like if you were on a Real World season that it would have changed the trajectory of your challenge career in any way?
I would say maybe earlier on. In its totality, I don't really believe it would have changed much. I mean, from a fan's aspect, they would know me a lot better because, you would get me every week on the Real World versus, running the risk of getting sent home like on the challenge. But other than that, and being more comfortable with cameras in your face and being a little bit more confident, on that first challenge, I don't really see it being too much different.
I actually listened to you on an episode of Millennial Versus, which was a fantastic episode, by the way. But you said something I was shocked by, that you said you were in that tent, that Fresh Me Too tent, for 5 days.
Yeah. I mean, the days just started running together. Like, okay, this first night we'll just try to break them, and then you get up, and it's just like you get breakfast, and then you just kind of hang out and talk and chat, and then you get lunch. Same thing, just in and out of the tent in the middle of this field. And then they come serve him dinner, and it's kind of like, all right. And production's not saying anything to us. Of course, they're trying to talk to him like, "Yo, what's going on? Like, what's up?" And they're just ignoring us. So we're really about to go crazy. So yeah, it was a good, 5 days, 4 or 5 days. Yep, it was terrible.
You made challenge history, albeit it wasn't the best of challenge history, but to my knowledge, you're the only person to have been disqualified for drinking before an elimination. Now, for context, your partner, Caitlin, was very injured. Looking back on it, do you feel like you were used as a scapegoat for y'all being disqualified?
Well, I mean, it just depends on how you want to look at it, because either way, we weren't going in. I mean, as far as that, what they made TJ say, as far as like why we really got disqualified, I mean, yeah, kind of, because I mean, clearly, because even the night before, when Caitlin told me she couldn't go the next day, that's why I was like, okay, let me go ahead and just party this one out, because I know I'm not coming back. So that was my mindset. And I told production the night before, I was like, we're not competing. Because I even talked to CJ and Sydney. I was like, I'm not doing it. Or they're like, maybe we could at least see it. Like, at least you guys just start, to help us out in case we have to go back. And I was like, oh, okay, well, fine. Yeah, I can do that. I mean, but I'm literally going to, once he blows the horn, I'm going to step over the start line, and I'm going to find somewhere to go to sleep on the ground. And that was like my whole plan. So Next morning, we get up there. Me and CJ literally carry Caitlin to the start line, and she gets back on her crutches. And then I get the news that I'm the reason we get disqualified. But I'm just like, whatever. I mean, I laughed at it because I knew we were going home. If I'm brought up, and a lot of the fans that don't like me, but oh, well, hopefully he doesn't drink a beer before elimination. I'm like, did we not watch the same show? I don't get it.
What was your favorite challenge season to play on?
It has to be Cutthroat. I mean, that's where I got the most action. I got to, I really got to compete, and I got to show what I can do. Even though, at the expense of me, my team wins, which is, had a decent showing, and it even looks better because, after I leave, red team still wins. But yeah, I'd probably say, Cutthroat is probably my favorite one, just because I really got to mix it up.
How was that challenge house, by the way? Because there was a whole bunch of stuff that's like haunted. It's old as smoke. Like,
yeah, I mean, it was old. I mean, the aesthetic of it looked beautiful on camera. Just the actual functionality of living there with how many of the people we got, that became a thing. But the upstairs level, like there's like a third level. We weren't allowed to go up there. Of course, you tell us not to do something, we're gonna probably do it. I didn't go up there because it was like, my second season, and my guarantee was about that big. So I was like, I'm not messing up my money, because you get fined for doing stupid they tell you not to do.
Yeah.
So, but then you have some folks go up there and then come down talking about, oh, I saw a chair moving. Like, I don't care. I'm not going up there. So thanks for the layout, but I don't need it. But it was cool. But all that haunting and all that, it was just a big joke. Some folks go for it because a lot of us, me included, but some people take it too far, turn back into big kids when we get on this show. Mm-hmm. So, you act like you're scaring your brother or sister, and they really take it like, oh, really? No, that could be something. And they, come up with all these different scenarios. And I'm like, okay, well, when you're 8 or 9 years old, I get it. But when you're 30 plus, you're doing too much for me.
For this interview, I found a Business Insider article you wrote back in 2022. In the article, you talk about 10 things that surprised you about being on the challenge. You said at a certain point, you can tell that production has their favorites. When was the first season you could tell who some of the favorites were? And was there a point you felt like you were someone's favorite?
I would say that second one on Cutthroat. And it wasn't because anything specifically was being like done or anything like that. But, I was like trying to go by the book, don't break the fourth wall, don't talk to production and all this stuff. But then you'd have a few people that could really just, like, as they have done seasons with them, and go up to them and call them by their first name. Hey, could you give me a plug for because I went on the show? And I'm like, y'all can talk? Like, what the hell? And they're always talking. It's like, oh, how you been? And this and that. I haven't seen you since whatever season. And I'm over there like, they don't even know me, man. But it's like, they have all these relationships. It's like, I remember when we were in Tahiti and all. I'm like, yeah, I just got back from Arkansas, so I don't know. But so like, I probably started noticing that by Cutthroat. I'd say for me personally, about Rivals. Rivals, Battle of the Seasons, and going up into free agents. So I'm seeing a lot of the same camera crew. Like, it's usually camera crews like all the same. Then most of production changes depending on location in the season and what they're doing or whatever. But probably about by Battle of the Seasons, I'm a regular now. So, hey, what's going on? How you been? Well, and then they follow you on your social media. So some of us kind of keep in touch, might like a picture here and there, but nothing too crazy. But I mean, it is cool when you, like, even South Africa, I saw some people on crew I hadn't seen in 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And they remembered me, and I'm like, you remember little old me?
One thing I did kind of forget to write a question on, but you're partnered up with Ty on Rivals. A couple of nights in, you got Ty and Adam kind of yammering at each other. I mean, what's going through your head when you're seeing that all like kind of like unfold in front of you?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was my first time meeting Adam, I believe. I might have met him off camera before, but that was his first challenge. And he just came in hot. Like, they just got done filming their Vegas season that hadn't aired yet. So when him and Lee got there, they're just coming off of getting, filming their first Real World. So Lee was super cool. He was actually just really laid back. Like, he didn't really get into the mix too much. But Adam came in hot. People started eyeballing each other. And then, it's that whole, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? I'm like, but wait, because if he goes home, I have to go home. So I'm like, dude, chill out. And then, looking back at, I still had a good partner. He just causing too much drama for me. But then, as you can see, when Adam goes home, Leroy doesn't have to go home. He does get another partner. So I kind of was like, I could have got it. And it wouldn't have been my rival because Mike and Lee were friends. So he actually came up after, for getting Mike, because Adam would have sabotaged had he been there for one more night anyway.
Talking from one dysfunctional partner to the next, your next season, Battle of the Seasons, 2012, you have, I think, one of the most dysfunctional teams in Challenge history. What was it like playing for the Fresh Meat team on that season specifically?
It was interesting. I knew it was going to be a test of patience, especially, not having Easy as a partner, which is like, obvious, shout out to Easy, but at the time, performance wise or whatever, question mark. Then you got Camilla, who's just hard to deal with at times anyway. And my girl Cara, we was cool. Me and Cara was tight right then. So that was, but I know how competitive Camilla is, and I see Cara. So when for one, we were thrown together at the last minute. We weren't even supposed to be there. We were all alternates. Get a call like the day before, because no, we were actually there. So I get a call one night. I'm actually out with Leroy at like a barbecue or something, and get a call saying, "Hey, can you be on a plane tomorrow night?" And they're like, "Sure." Where are we going? I can't tell you yet. Okay. So I go and get packed up, and I get to the airport. Now, I think the first person I saw was Cara. So, go give her a hug, and we're chilling. Then I see Camilla, and then everybody looks up and we see Easy, and everybody just kind of looks at each other. Like, I don't even remember anything past that first elimination outside of Easy going in and destroying Wes, which I was so proud of. I knew that boosted his confidence or whatever, but I do know after we end up coming in the bottom again and have to vote again, he for all of a sudden is on some, I've done enough, I've proven enough. No, that's not how this works. It's still the reason that we're in the bottom. And then I know that particular challenge that we lost, I think Vegas won, if I'm not mistaken. And then since we couldn't come to a consensus of who was going to go in, they got to pick. So I'm still thinking, okay, they're smart, they're older, at least a couple of them are. And I'm gonna be like, all right, well, Easy, you had another bad day, you gotta go in. Instead, they're like, I think he's done enough. He can sit this one out. Brandon, Cara, I'm like, what? But I did see them having a nice little conversation and stuff the night before, and I'm sure Easy kind of schmoozed in and was like, yo, Alton, But I'm like, all right, this whatever. Because I'm like, okay, me and Cara got this. It's Wes, and not Wes, but Chet and Sarah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. I said, we'll be all right. Not dissing them, but I'm like, okay, it's me and Cara. But me and Cara don't think past what's right in front of us. So it's just like, all right, you're tied together, run this rope around, get them all tangled up, and then go and tangle theirs. And it's like, yeah, but like with no strategy. Like I hear them over going, they're like, okay, so go this, no, man. I hear them yelling to them, like they're standing on the stage, and all our castmates are like giving them pointers. Like, how are you giving any advice on what we're doing right now? But and like when we were leaving, we were like, you know what? We don't feel too bad leaving this one, because we just knew it was just going to be more drama and more mess throughout the rest of the season. So it's kind of like, hey, let's just enjoy our time. We stayed a couple of days in Turkey afterwards. We just chilled, got some drinks, got some good food. And then, so what they'll do is they'll say, okay, because if you stay after you get eliminated, you have to pay for it. Like you have to pay for your rooms or whatever. But they already have a returning flight for you anyway. So they're just like, hey, if you want to stay extra couple of days or whatever, just let us know when to push your flight out. So we only stayed like a couple of days or whatever. It was cool. So then we have to fly from Bodrum to Istanbul. And then from Istanbul, we'll go back to the States. So we get our flights or whatever. We get to the Istanbul airport, and we've already missed our connecting flight. But it wasn't because of us. The flight before was already late, so we missed it. So we like, okay, we can just get the next flight. Wrong. We go up there and we're like trying to talk to them in broken English. They're giving back to us, and we're saying, well, we need to change our flights. The flight that we came in on was late, which make us miss our returning flight. And they're like, okay, we'll get you another flight, but it's going to be $1,000, over $1,000 for it. We're like, no, that's not how this is paid. Like, did you not see how we came into the country? Like, it's already taken care of. We just need to get the next flight out. Well, we don't know. So now we're trying to figure, because our phones aren't working. I'm trying to get on Wi-Fi. So I'm emailing production like, yo, we're stuck at the airport trying to get this taken care of. And they're like, well, can you get a number to the front desk? So we're trying to, all this miscommunication. We ended up staying at the airport for like 2 days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then when they finally got our flights taken care of, we're like, okay, so we're looking at them and we're like, wait, because at the time, it didn't really matter. You just want to get to the States and then split up. But They had her flying to like Australia and me going to like France and then flying to New York, but it was separate. And Cara broke down. She was like, no. She was like, I am not flying. She was like, as messy as this has been, I am not flying by myself. Brandon, we can stay in the airport another night. Tell Beauty member, so I get back home with them. And then they finally got it figured out. We finally got on the plane to New York. So it was terrible.
It just sounds like that whole experience, besides staying in a couple extra days, was a nightmare. Wow.
I haven't seen 1 second of an episode after I left because I mean, I of course heard all about it. When people ask people come home, you'll get a call and be like, man, this happened or that happened. And it's like, I don't care. I don't want to be there because y'all are crazy, man. And then even with that argument with Camilla, I mean, there's a lot that was left out of it because, you know, I mean, it takes a little bit to get me going, but I'm just like, but it's just so much bickering, and she would blame everybody else. And then she's talking about Eric, and then she, you know, Car's too soft for her, and she needs to speak up. And Brandon, you let everybody do what they want. You to speak your mind, because there's all these little things that she would say all the time. Because she just her demeanor and like just how she is with people, or was at the time. Like I said, I hope we've all grown, but it's just very like, God, get over it, and it's always somebody else's fault. It's never her fault. That did become a lot. So getting out of there, I didn't feel so bad.
I think that's the first time in your challenge career where you're like, yeah, I could go. It's fine.
It's like, yeah, not for lack of trying, because I mean, of course you want to win and go back, but then it was like, okay, we're gonna have to keep doing this every time. I'm down to do it. But then, I mean, you lose, you honestly, you know, you just flat out lose, and it's not like, you know, good game, guys. Where's the bust? All right, cool.
Going through your seasons, some fans would deem you one of the unluckiest players with how your trajectory has gone on. I mean, going from the disqualification in Fresh Me Too, being targeted by your own team in season 20, being on a very dysfunctional team on season 23, and then free agents, you get tossed into an elimination against one of the biggest dudes in the house, playing basically a hall brawl, just in a circle. I mean, some people would say that your run on the early challenge career was unlucky, but how would you describe it looking back on your experiences?
Well, it was hard for me because, you know, I'm a firm believer in that you control a lot. I mean, there are a lot of things that are out of your control, but you're always thinking, okay, I should have trained more. I should have called so-and-so. I should have been more political in the house. Or I should have laid back on this. So it's kind of all over the place. I mean, yeah, the unlucky part, I can throw that in the basket too, but I don't want to, lean on that. Like, yeah, man, hey, I could have had it. I was just unlucky, like that sounds like an excuse to an extent, but I mean, you can see the film, and then you'll see some folks that don't do anything, don't contribute at all, and will skate to a final or just make it through the whole season, or make it to how many other episodes, and it's just like, how does this person that just chills over here and smokes and drinks every day, and never see them running or exercising, nothing, you'll come in the bottom of every daily, never get voted in. It's like, why can I be that guy? Let me be that guy.
When after free agents did you feel like, well, I'm probably not going to get another phone call, or I'm probably not going to get on another season? Like, did that thought ever come to your mind?
Probably after Dirty 30. Probably after that one came out, and I was like, because I didn't know what was, what number season we were even at that point. Because like I don't really watch. So after I saw a commercial for Dirty 30, I was like, oh, they already. If that's the case, they've already filmed it and they're already making calls again. So, and I'm not getting them. So I was like, wow, it's all good. So I figured it was a wrap around that time.
So I found out that you lived in Vegas for a while, Las Vegas. I even heard from the Millennial Versus episode that you actually lived with Leroy at one point, because we all know that TJ lives there or lived there. Did you ever run into him or like call him up, want to hang out kind of vibe?
Yeah, when I first was there, we'd go have breakfast. Every now and then we actually ended up managing that breakfast restaurant for a little while that we first would actually go and have breakfast with or whatever. But I wouldn't really, we planned something like, hey, you want to go to breakfast? Me, him, and Leroy would go to breakfast every now and then, but you don't really run into TJ. He doesn't go out like that unless he's invited to do something like as far as like an appearance or something like that. Or, if he's going to go play music, but he's not really like somebody you're just going to run into unless you know where he is.
I could only imagine what his schedule looks like from when we had like 4 spinoffs happening at the same time. Like that's nuts. I mean, we think about players that do multiple seasons, like you did a whole bunch of seasons really close together, but TJ is like one of the guys that have to do it like every single season. So it's kind of wild that like the toll that it probably takes on him. But I mean, he's getting paid pretty
Well,
handsomely. So
I was going to say, I don't know if I feel all that bad for him because, I mean, that check is pretty large. And on top of that, he just has to show up to the challenge and the elimination. He doesn't have to live in that house with us. So wherever
true.
we are, he can go out and do whatever he wants to do and this and that and just be there on time. So, but yeah, I don't feel sorry for him at all. I'm just playing.
Well, it's surprising to me because I was listening to like an old podcast, I think, with him, and he was talking about like going to be a firefighter after
Yeah.
Dirty 30 and stuff, which is I was like, what now? You want to what?
No,
Like,
no, because I mean, anytime like he would come to the restaurant and I would ask him like, you know, how's that going? And he's like, I'm training. Like he was ready for it. So I don't know what happened with that. I mean, clearly it didn't go through how he wanted it to. But yeah, he was dead serious about it.
you were flown to location to All Stars 2, but you were an alternate, as previously mentioned. I just want to ask, what does being an alternate look like? Because to me, it feels like you're put up in a hotel and you're supposed to sit there in the hotel room alone, just waiting for somebody to like pop their head in and be like, you're going in or you're going home. Like, how accurate is that?
I mean, as far as hitting the bullet points, I mean, that's spot on. Because usually before, if you're an alternate, they'll call you and be like, all right, you're an alternate. And then you know what the departure date is. So they'll give you like, you know, a date, like maybe a week outside of the departure date saying, if you don't get a call by this time, then don't worry about it. So, but you're at home, you know, and you don't get paid. And you're just like, you don't get paid unless you go. The great thing about being an alternate now, well, I don't know if they're going to continue to do it this way, but it's easier to have somebody on site just in case, you know. I don't know how that looks money wise, but yeah, it's pretty much the same, except you have to be on site. You do get paid to be there. But yeah, it's pretty much stay in your room unless they tell you can come out. But I mean, it was pretty decent, you know, decent view. You could call and get whatever you wanted to eat. You know, I started mirroring my phone to the TV so I could watch Netflix. I was fine. So yeah, and you're just waiting for them to, you know, because they let us keep our phones too, but the connection was all jacked up. But we had a WhatsApp chat, and they would, you know, basically keep you posted, like, you know. But you know, Leah and Melinda got picked up, and so they were gone for a couple of days. And after that first week, one of the PAs that was like basically our handler, he's like, y'all are probably not going, and we were like, okay. So he took us to the beach. We had a good old time, but for the most part, we were there for 14 days. I'd say for a good 9 to 10 of them, we were stuck to our rooms. They would take us out in the middle of the day and let us all go down to the pool. But I mean, there was security everywhere. It's like, dude, we are not leaving. It's okay. For 4, we weren't on site. So this is just, I get a call, hey, you're an alternate. And this was me just like I got that call maybe 2.5 weeks before we were supposed to leave. So I'm like, thanks for the heads up. And then like a week before we were supposed to leave, I get a call again saying you're going to be on the main cast. So going into it, I knew I was going to be on the main cast. So that does help before you get on the plane to know that you're actually going to be on.
It's just unfortunate that it was only 2 weeks prior that you were thinking you were an alternate. Like you couldn't like, you know, there's other people that knew well beforehand that they're like training, they're doing pull-ups, they're eating steel cut oats while you're just minding your own business. And then
yeah,
dang.
But I mean, hey, I got it together pretty quick.
I want to say thank you so much for joining me today and just being so candid and open about your experiences on the show. I want to give you a moment now to shout out your social media, where people can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Brandon D. Nelson. Also on X at Brandon D. Nelson. On TikTok, it's Brandon Drake Nelson, all one word, my whole name. Snapchat is MTV Brandon.
But thank you so much again. This was awesome. You've been incredible in this interview. I really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see you again on the challenge very, very, very soon, and not as an alternate.
Yeah, man. First round draft pick.